It's Matty Fresh on the track up at State. And I'm bringing to you live my boys Alec and Nate. Tequila Ty, Jay, Nelly, and Zillin in the building. So kick it back, pour the drink. We chillin' because I'm boozing and betting and balling like I'm 2-6 in the blue kicks. Watch me move quick. Yeah, this the blueprint. So who's getting involved? Welcome into the show. This is Booze, Bets, and Ball, baby.
And welcome back to Booze, Bets, and Ball as we have a more pleasant episode this week, I guess. A better recap to have because Penn State beat Minnesota 45-17 in a game that, I don't know, felt close for maybe 8 minutes, I guess is the best way to put it. They did the complete opposite of the Michigan game this week, which was very good to see.
Yeah, and I'm almost 100% sure that we will get fewer comments from the opposing team's fans this week on the YouTube. Yeah. But yeah, this was a much better game, and this is a much more fun 20-ish minutes than the last time we got together. Yeah, I'm 44, by the way. So
okay. I mean, you didn't have to tell us, but okay.
It's a fact. It's like an objective fact, right? There's
no
hiding from it. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed your time away last week while Tyler and I took care of this. He was a little more optimistic of them winning by double digits, I think, than I was, just because of everything that we saw the week before. But the big thing was the fact that they kind of jumped out early and didn't give Minnesota a chance to run the ball like 60 times like they wanted to. Now, Mo Ibrahim still had 30 touches for 100, 102, 100 something yards like that. But it was not anything that was backbreaking. It was not anything that had a chance to really impact the game because Minnesota just ran the ball even though they were down, just because I don't think with their backup quarterback, they thought they had much of a chance anyway. They were just trying to get out of there by the middle of the third quarter. So they did a way better job against the run. And, it helped that Minnesota was very one-dimensional and you could leave the corners out there by themselves. And they, to the staff's credit, they did let them do that. They did let the corners out there by themselves and they stacked the box, and it worked out well for them this week.
It did. So Minnesota, first drive was -4 yards, second drive was 29, and third drive was -3. The first and third drives were exclusively Mo Ibrahim runs. The second drive, where they actually had a little bit of momentum, they did have a pass mixed in there with a bunch of Mo Ibrahim runs. But it was at the Penn State 44 in the second drive where it was 3rd and 8, and they gave Ibrahim the ball. And, right. I think they were settling knowing that they were going to punt, because at that time, the Penn State offense wasn't doing much either. And then that immediately led to the interception 2 plays later where, at least as a fan, you kind of wonder where it's going to go. But, after giving up that field goal, then Penn State really, they a switch flipped and they became a juggernaut offense for the last 3.5 quarters or whatever.
Yeah, that deep shot resulted in an interception, but the fact that they even took that shot, I think, totally changed this game, because Minnesota went back and was, keen that could happen again. And as we'll probably talk to, it did happen a few more times. But when that happened, all of a sudden, Katron Allen started getting going then right away, and then Singleton started getting going. And the fact that maybe Minnesota was watching the deep pass a little more opened up lanes for those two guys, because early on they did not have much room to work with. And then kind of right after that deep ball, even though, it was practically a punt, it changed the game actually. And, that was the most encouraging thing for me, was the fact that they didn't play afraid. It seemed like on offense, like last week against Michigan, it was so conservative. Nothing looked like they were taking a chance. They more or less were playing not to get blown out, and they got blown out anyway. And this week they did the complete opposite. They kind of played to blow someone out, and it worked.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it was a punt. It was effectively a punt with an incredible return behind it too, right? So, but yeah, taking deep shots. I think there was a comment that I made on Twitter about this. Going into the game, they only had 18 deep shot attempts on like 156 dropbacks for Sean Clifford, not even counting any of the Drew Allar stuff. So that's 11%, give or take, shots of over 20 yards. This game they had 6, so they were averaging 3 a game before, and they had 6 this game. 2 of these resulted in touchdowns, and the completion percentage is higher than it was. So they completed, I guess, about 4 of those. So like it's a way different dynamic when you're willing to take a shot downfield, and like you said, it opens up a little bit more in the run game, and like they're not just looking for runs or short passes, but now like they have to honor both. Like play action opens up a lot more too when you're streaking tight ends kind of down the center of the field, and then doing the 2016 chuck it and let your good receiver high point the ball like they did with Parker Washington. I don't know you want him doing that all the time, but that was a great play. So and now for what it's worth, like on deep passes, the first 6 games, they averaged 10.7 yards per attempt on deep passes. And now just after this game, they're averaging 12.3. So getting separation between the short passes and the long passes in terms of yards gained per attempt is what you want to see. So they have to do it this week, but that was a really nice job by the offense.
Yeah, and the added thing to the offense this week was that they used the tight ends, and especially Theo Johnson, who Brent Strange has been great this year, but it always seemed like Johnson was just another step up athletically, and he just hasn't been. Now he was hurt to start the year, but it just felt like he hadn't been getting the attention he should have been so far. But 5 for 75 and a touchdown. Tyler Warren comes back from injury. I think he was out a couple of weeks. Has the 38, 40, that 38, I think, yard touchdown catch. And Strange actually ends up having the quietest day out of the 3 of them, but that's okay. Is this just going to be every year at the whiteout, they use the tight ends and then they go away the rest of the year? Because that's kind of what I got out of it. Was they used them last year against Auburn, didn't use them again, and I'm like, is that what's going to happen again? Because it felt like the same exact game plan in a sense. Use them in the whiteout, don't use them again. I don't know if there's like a couple tight end recruits that come to the whiteout that they're trying to like show this for, but hopefully it continues, because it seems Clifford is more comfortable when those guys are involved. And clearly, they scored 45 points against a defense that was, not elite, but a defense that is good enough to contend in the Big Ten West. And, they put 45 on them. And a lot of that was because of the fact that they used the 3 tight ends that they have and have been somewhat ignoring the first 6 games.
Yeah, well, you dashed any hopes that I had for this week that they actually figure something out. Yeah, that's funny. That was a good comparison. I'm out of words now. But last week we talked about how they got 40% of their yards on 2 plays, right? And one of those was the throw down the sideline to Harrison Wallace. The other was the Clifford run. This week they had 295 passing yards, and half of that came on 5 completions out of 31, right? So they had a 35, 25, 30, 22, and 38, 2 of those being touchdowns. That's way better, right? Just having that's 50% of your yards on 16% of your dropbacks, and it was just more consistent. Yeah, like Clifford, I don't care what you say about the kid in every other game, but he has stepped up in every single whiteout with Van. Well,
I was thinking about that,
right?
Yeah.
Michigan in 2019, Auburn last year, and Minnesota this year. He plays extraordinary. He plays very, very well. And he did it again. And like a lot of tight end usage, right? 2019, I guess it was a lot of KJ Hamler usage, but still.
Yeah.
Great job by him. This morning we found out that he won the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, and it's extremely well deserved.
Yeah, I missed the whole intro booing thing because the beer lines are insane. So I was in the concourse for that. But that was just that was such like a knee-jerk reaction off of last week. And this is something we talked about when we did the recap, and even something Tyler and I elaborated more on in the preview was, I don't know how the hell you watched that game against Michigan and your first instinct after it was, I'm going to boo Sean Clifford when they put his name on the Jumbotron. And I don't know. I think it's a lot of freshmen trying to be edgy. You see that you go to a game. I don't think you've been to a home game yet this year, but you can tell who the freshmen are because they have the 15 jersey that actually says Aller on the back of it. And, I think most of this nonsense comes from them. And, it's like you don't understand everything here that's gone on. And after he threw the interception, I was like, oh, God, because it got worse with the booing. And I was just sitting there. And for him to come back, and I think he went, 19 out of 26 or something like that for 277 and 4 touchdowns after the interception. Like he heard them, I think. And, he took it to heart maybe a little here, and it benefited them. So if you boot him, maybe you help Penn State win this game. I don't know. It's still a really stupid thing to do. If you want to boo Franklin for how they played last week, okay. But I don't understand. I get people are fatigued with him maybe because it's been so long, but I don't understand hating someone who came back. I think it was a mutual thing for him to come back. He could have maybe gone on. I'm not saying the NFL. I think he could have gone and done other things though. And he came back and he's played through cracked ribs before, and he's gone up after every hit he took last year against Michigan and put them in a position to win that game before the defense, had a breakdown. And I just don't understand that stuff because he clearly doesn't hate the school. He's been here for 6 years. He clearly doesn't hate the fans. He doesn't hate the team. He's putting everything he has into it. Yeah. So don't boo him because his coaches kind of screwed up last week. I know he's not great. He's not, Stroud, who we'll see this week, but it could be worse. And I think people forget how much they were crying for him after watching Taquan Roberts in the second half against Iowa last year. Yeah. So that's all I'll say on that. I didn't get it. It was stupid. And, I don't think it will happen again, but hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah. I had the audacity last week to say that he played comparable to JJ McCarthy, which got a bunch of comments I mean, the point that I was making last week, and I agree with you, that it was not his game, that he did not lose that game last week, right? He didn't give up 400 yards on the ground, right, and play 5 guys in the box. Now, lots of things went into that, and it's a highly multivariate kind of equation. But don't boo the kid. He's 24 years old. He like you said, boo Franklin. Making $7 million a year if you want, and that comes with the job. But I am never one for calling out kids directly and booing individuals, especially when they're being announced as the starter. It is, Corey Geiger or whatever said, "Oh, it's classless," and it kind of is. But again, it's not the whole fan base. There's a subset of people that will do that, and just don't be that person, right?
No, I think they had, I want to say, close to 100 recruits at that game. What kind of message are you sending when you're booing the freaking starting quarterback? And I think I saw Jaden Davis didn't make it, the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the 24 class. And, but Smolik was there, the 23 commit. Yeah. And what kind of message are you sending there and I'm sure Smolik is sitting there Sean Clifford threw for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns and they booed him. He's like, well, what do I have to do for that, to not happen? You don't understand kind of the side effects doing those kind of things could happen. Now, I'm not saying Smolik's going to decommit because of that, because I doubt that. But I'm just, putting that out there that, there's that added aspect. It just doesn't make sense to do that kind of stuff.
I don't know, man. Tulane's hot. They're ranked now, so you never know. That's the place he decommitted from. So, and Iowa is in complete shambles. So, I don't know. He's not going to decommit. Please don't take any more than I'm joking. But yeah, I don't know. Just don't do that. Nobody's showing up to their class and doing when they get an 80 or 70 or whatever a bad grade is for these kids, And I don't know. I hate that. I hate the personal aspect of it for college athletes. Right? Don't do that.
It's funny when you're 300 feet away from them and there's 5,000 people between you and them. It's easy to boo, but then, put them in the classroom together and it's probably can I get a picture? You know what I mean? That it turns into that and it's nonsense. So,
and when it's on Twitter, when it's on Twitter, it's even a million times worse, right? People are willing to say whatever the hell they want. And it's not good. Anyway, defense was interesting, right? I think playing Carter and Jacobs at the same time, they combined for about 22 tackles or something like that.
Yeah, Jacobs played a lot faster than I thought he did last week. There were times where he looked hesitant. Maybe, there was so much on his plate because Michigan has a very good run scheme going. And this week, I think he played more with confidence and he made a lot of more sure tackles. So that was good to see because he played up to what we've come to expect from him this week. And with him and Carter on the field together, I mean, they're at a totally different level on the defense. And, they did it without Chop Robinson too, who I don't know what the deal was, had not heard a single word about that all week. So hopefully that's not long-term because they'll need him against Ohio State. But I thought even without him, the defense played really well. The touchdowns they gave up were like, whatever, like it was already, the first half one, they had the 3rd and 8 on Minnesota's own like 8 or 7, whatever it was, and the kid threw like the pass of his life that was nearly on guard. Like there was good coverage. Like
there was.
He dropped it right in there. There was nothing you could really do about that, and they went down and scored on that drive. But other than that, Penn State's defense was pretty much in control. It was kind of like the Auburn game too, where the offense sputtered right away, and then all of a sudden you find yourself where the other team's down at inside the red zone, and they stiffened up and got the field goal. And after that, when they don't score a touchdown, you feel pretty good about the game going forward. And I thought I kind of got that same feeling from this as I did after they got that stop in Auburn to start the game.
I agree. And that one, I mean, the one pass like before the end of the half, it was very reminiscent of Auburn, where, against Auburn, they had them like 3rd and 18, 3rd and 22, and they still gave up big plays, right? Or whatever. And like, in every case, it was really good defense by the cornerback or the nickelback, whoever is guarding. So stuff happens, right? But I think all in all, they had a bounce back against Michigan. So I wrote about this too. Against the Wolverines, they only had 1 pass breakup, 7 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. This week they still had 7 tackles for loss and 1 sack, but they had 6 pass breakups and the interception. So really, like, I don't know, like the Minnesota threw not so many passes. Obviously, we talked about Mo Ibrahim being kind of the guy there, but like they had 22 passes and 7 like disruptive plays on 22 passes is really good. So it's just one of these things where you let the cornerbacks, who are the best players on the defense, right? Joey Porter and Caleb King and I don't know, like Daquan Hardy even and Johnny Dixon, like you let them guard people. And they're going to make good things happen, right? And you put them in space like they did against Michigan, where they're 18 yards away from anybody, and less good things happen. So I hope, the Minnesota receivers are not Jackson Smith and Jigba and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
And, so we'll see how it goes this weekend. But letting them play was a really good benefit this week, and it paid off.
Yeah, I don't. The whole team in general just seemed to play a lot more freely, I guess is the best way to put it. There was, a lot more confidence, and I get it. There's a big difference playing at home in the whiteout than playing at Michigan, obviously. And obviously Minnesota and Michigan are not, they might be built a little, the same in what they want to do on offense and so forth, but talent-wise, they're not even close. Like Tyler and I talked about the average star rating of the Minnesota defense was like a 0.6999, which is equivalent to a 2-star. So, the talent-wise, it was not close. And the scoreboard finally indicated that. Clifford got his revenge for 2019, I guess, if we want to play that card. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was a freer effort. And, the offensive line, too, dealt with some guys banged up. I think both Wormley and Wallace left. And, like Effner came in and played good. And then Vega Ione, the true freshman, actually came in at guard and played a little bit. And, so, a lot of guys played and a lot of guys played well, which was good. So the offensive line's, quietly getting a little deeper maybe too, which is nice because, Big Ten plays physical and they're already dealing with Tangwell banged up. And now it looks like Wallace is banged up. So, getting a little depth there certainly helps too.
Some of these guys need to come back this week, right? So Chop Robinson, Kevon Lee warmed up, but then didn't play, I guess.
I think that was an indication of the score too.
But he didn't dress in the game. I thought he warmed up in pads and then was on this. No, he did warm up, and like even the Penn State football Twitter account tweeted it out about him, and then like by the time kickoff came, he was back in street clothes. So Tangwell, him, Chop Robinson, Wormley, Wallace, like you need all of these guys this week.
Yeah. It's gonna be all hands on deck for this. But yeah, just really quick on the whole Lee thing. People always ask, well, why doesn't the freshman always play at every other position? And Penn State's running back depth has kind of turned into, unfortunately, the downside of when you play the younger guys, because Ford and Holmes bounce, and then, you didn't know if Lee transferred or what. Turns out he's hurt. And now they're down to 2 scholarship running backs. And look, they're playing the best too. But unfortunately, in the era of the portal, what happens is when you play the younger guys, your depth kind of disappears. And that's what Penn State is going through right now with just 2 healthy scholarship running backs. So that is not ideal, but they survived this week. Obviously, Ohio State's a physical team, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, that is the downside of the portal at times.
Noah Kane could still be on this team, right? Like, he plays. I mean, they
Right.
could have 7 4-star running backs in the team, but yeah. So right now we have 2, maybe with Kevon Lee coming back, and Tank Smith, though. Don't forget about him. Everybody's favorite. At least Dev Ford, though, I don't know. Like, he's still on campus, right? And he's finishing. He's not on the team, but he conceivably could be back on the team if absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if they have like a final, off thing. I don't know how it works.
Because you're not adding like anybody else on scholarship at this time of year either. So I don't know.
Right.
But,
yeah, you can't.
And that's just like saying stupid shit. But like, at least he's not gone. He didn't leave the school, right? So
right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I do like the way they're rotating Allen and Singleton now. It kind of seems like when things aren't moving well on offense, they go to Allen to try to grind out the yards. And he played well. He had some nice cuts, ran over a couple guys.
He did, yeah.
And then it's like when they start to get some momentum going, they want to go to Singleton, kind of looking for the big play. And, he had the 2 long touchdown runs. And, something we talked about too, they set up a screen for him that went for what? Like
that was good.
18, 20 yards, something like that. Yeah. So they were creative, and they gave Singleton different ways to get the ball, which was nice. Got him out in space where he belongs. And, overall, I just really like the running back rotation, because I feel like these 2 guys complement each other well. And honestly, it's just year 1 of 3 years of these 2 guys. So that's awesome.
They tried in the first drive or 2 some weird pitch thing that they need to retire. I don't know if you went back and watched the game, but it was like
I saw that. Yeah,
it wasn't a well-developed play. So
no.
So let's take that one back to the drawing board. But the screen was awesome, and then by the time they got to, like you said, the second half, it really opened up for Singleton, and they had those 2 big runs, right? And but maybe that's it. Like, when you're getting some momentum, you go to Singleton, you play a little more up tempo. The defense is on their heels, and then he could start beating guys off the edge and downhill too, right? That way, where when everybody's fresh and things are going slowly, they're not quite at that level yet. So, very, very astute opinion by you.
Yeah, there's something I picked up because Singleton started the game, and they kind of struggled the first couple drives, and then I noticed Allen came in, and that's when they started to move the ball a little. Now, it wasn't all just him. Clifford, made some nice throws, and the receivers made great plays, but it does seem like they have a formula then if it's not working, what they want to go to. And, props to them for figuring out how to rotate these 2 guys 6-7 games into their careers. So good
Sean
job
Clifford,
there.
0 carries this week too, which is something.
Yeah, he was, I guess, banged up. I mean, game day called him a game time decision. I noticed he had a black glove on. I can't recall him ever really wearing a glove if it was like not freezing.
It was cold too, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was comfortable, I guess. So I don't know if that was something or not. But yeah, so I hope he was good enough to have one of his, I don't know, top 5 performances of his career. I put it up there with. So, I don't know, not hurt enough. We always talk about we don't want a repeat of Illinois last year. If he's hurt, don't play him. But clearly, I guess he was okay here.
Yeah. So statistically, I think this is his 3rd best Big Ten game, behind the 59-0 Maryland game in 2019, and then the 2020 Illinois game. So
I forgot.
That was the last game of the year. Yeah. And like, nobody cares about 2020, right? But if you take that out, then this is his 2nd best game. So
yeah. I mean,
really good. I mean, and coming back from one of his worst too last week.
Yeah.
So that's important. The bounce back bit and going from like, bottom to damn near as good as you've ever been is a really important thing. And like, I don't know. That just speaks to his character, right? Like his ability to like tune out all the stuff with being booed and with, God knows what, I don't know, he looks on social media, but that's got to be a cesspool. He's a good he's a good person, right? And he's doing his best for this team and for this university. So cut him some slack.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we will be back later in the week with a big Ohio State preview because I guess more or less Penn State's season will ride on this game. If they win, they still technically have a chance to make the Big Ten championship. If they lose, you start, I guess, playing for the Orange Bowl, which is fine. But so, yeah, big one this weekend. We will be back to preview it. I guess no Minnesota fans are going to be finding this video. That's unfortunate, I guess. But
just
Penn State
Michigan,
won.
Put Michigan in the
right.
in the header or something.
Yeah, I'll have to do that because Michigan fans like us or hate us, but like to watch us, but hate us. Something like that. So
for what it's worth, for any Michigan fan who does pick this up, you people are becoming the most insufferable group of people I've ever run into in my life.
I don't know what the smoke detector comments were about. I don't remember.
Somebody there was text messages. I think somebody was getting texts or whatever. Like, but whatever.
Okay. I thought I don't know what it was. But
we're up to 2,000 views on that video. I mean, come on.
And it's all like hate views, but whatever.
Yeah, good for them.
All right. Well, we will see you later in the week for the big preview. Penn State bowl eligible now at 6-1. So we will talk then.